The FJ45V is one rare four-wheel drive. Alan Gray and his nephew Andrew Gray have accepted the challenge to bring this old girl back to life. How will Alan work alongside a mechanic 50 years his junior? Will they succeed in restoring this Land Cruiser? And all within budget.
Pretty excited to be back working on the restoration of this FJ45. Have a look at the radiator, and she's pretty corroded and leaking. I'd like to put a heavy-duty terrain Tamer radiator in. We're going to put some hoses and clips and a belt while we're at it. Also want to try and fit a shroud on because it should have a shroud for better cooling. We'll get into it now. What about you? Do you reckon you want to sleep or you're ready to go?
Oh mate, I'm wide awake.
Okay, that's a bit of a change. I think on this vehicle we're going to virtually have to change all the rubber hoses because it's been hanging around too long. It's 50 years old this year. It's a blooming older than me nearly.
I didn't know this vehicle was 150 years old.
Nah, better with age. Yeah, this radiator's really been around, my goodness.
You want to just pull that bottom I'll say please.
Look at that, good. 6 bolts and you've got it. And now we've got the radiator out, we can see some corrosion in here. All this section here is sort of greeny, and we've got a leak up in the top corner, and there was a leak down the bottom corner.
Just changing this bypass hose here. The old one was a bit crunchy when you push it in, it's getting a bit hard and perished, so it just allows water to circulate through the cooling system before the thermostat opens.
Yeah, we'll change the hoses on this, but any time that the hoses get harsh or crinkly, you can feel them crack inside, certainly need to replace. But every 2 years I'd think that you should put new hoses on. They're quite cheap. We've got them in a hose kit. You need to well and truly check your hoses because they're one of the major causes of engine failure.
Righto, this is just one of those things. It just sort of goes with the age of the vehicle. A lot of parts aren't really off the shelf for something this old these days, so just got to trim these hoses up to the right shape and dimensions. Are just a bit long, so just got to trim them down a bit to get it to fit properly.
So that centrepiece there, that's made out of steel. That's a take-off for our hot water system now. We never had a heater in this model, but we're going to have one probably for roadworthy and for our own personal comfort. So we'll leave that in there till we get ourselves a heater.
Normally when you're looking for belt where you're looking at the actual edges of the V-belt, not at the bottom, the belt should never touch the bottom of the pulley, assuming the pulley's in reasonable condition, and the belt of course too. This one isn't too bad, but it's old and it's perished, and if you turn the belt inside out, you'll notice that it's got, and you fold it back on itself, it's quite badly cracked and perished, so that needs to be thrown over our shoulder. Keep it as a spare. Might get you out of trouble if you're desperate, but I wouldn't put it back on.
You'll notice that if you spin a water pump, it just goes back just that little fraction. That indicates that there's still tension on the seal. Just that little bit, hard to notice. And we've got a new terrain Tamer heavy-duty radiator, which has got a bigger capacity, about 40% more cooling. It's a very nice looking radiator. I suppose that doesn't matter that much, but it's well made, fully aluminium, all TIG welded. And we're looking forward to a heavy-duty use in this vehicle, so it's the ideal radiator for that job. We'll drop it in, but we're going to put a shroud on it this time. Just rack that on.
Never had this much trouble in my life.
Okay, I'll just drop this down. You just sit and watch me, kid, and see. Give me flying instructions. How's that? Am I doing good?
Looking beautiful.
That shroud. Yeah. That's about it. There's a couple of bolts your side. Stop mucking around.
It's called working.
Beauty, boy. Fantastic. Yeah, do you want to start the motor up? We just make sure that fan's going to clean the shroud.
Yeah, I can do that. Just make sure you get your hands out of there first.
Just give it all, then.
Righto, you ready?
Have you got your licence? Oh, that's shifting more air than you can imagine. Turn her off. Got the radiator in and everything's looking good. The hoses look real good. We'll fill it up with coolant, pressure test it, and that side of it should be right. She's looking good under the bonnet. What I normally do to check that it's got circulation and it's got water in the cylinder head, I generally tip a bit of water over this side here and just make sure that it gives me some indication of how hot it is. It's got a non-contact thermometer, which is very handy, I find, to just run across the cylinder head so that I can check the temperature without guessing it to make sure that it's not overheating in any particular spot. Well, what do you reckon? We've had a bit of a day today with it.
Yeah, it's been a good day.
It's full tune-up, top radiator. We've pressure tested it, no leaks, new hoses, underneath the bonnet, should be right to go.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to do on it. I think we'll get it inside, park it for tonight, and have a go at it another time.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, do you want to drive? You got your licence still?
Yeah, I got my licence.
Okay.
For a hose kit suited to your vehicle or the latest in heavy-duty radiators, contact Tamer.